Good day, class. How are you today? We are all here to discuss the Module 1 and Music 9. Our first lesson is about the medieval period. At the end of the lesson, we are expected to first, describe the musical characteristics of the medieval period. 2. Listen perceptively to the Gregorian chant and troubadour music. And 3. Show appreciation to the music of the medieval period. Before we go to our lesson today, I want you to get a pen and paper and answer this pretest. Direction. Identify the following picture below. You have 20 seconds to do it. The time starts now. Okay, time is up. We will be answering the pretest later. In the meantime, let us have a short recap about your Music 8 lesson. Number 1. The ancient Sanskrit theater is a native to this country. A. India, B. Thailand, C. Cambodia, D. Philippines. If your answer is letter A, you got it right. Number 2. It is the traditional theater of Japan. A. No, B. Bunraku, C. Kabuki, D. Gagaku. If your answer is letter A, which is no, you are correct. Number 3. The Japanese puppet theater is called A. Gagaku, B. Haiku, C. Kabuki, D. Bunraku. The correct answer is letter D. Bunraku. Number 4. The word ka in Kabuki means A. Dance, B. Music, C. Drama, D. Act. The correct answer is letter D. Music. Number 5. An Indonesian traditional shadow puppet play is called A. Wayang Kulit, B. Kempiang, C. Babandil, D. Warang. If your answer is letter A, Wayang Kulit, again, you are correct. Let us now move on to our lesson. What word can you form out of these jumbled letters? MD, EVAL, EIO, DRP. Hint: ME blank D blank E blank blank L P blank R blank OD. If your answer is medieval period, you got it right. Without further ado, let us all get started. The medieval period is roughly between the 700 to 1400 AD. It is called as the Middle Ages or Dark Ages and began with the collapse of the Western Roman Empire. It was a time of war and plague, but also the start of widespread literacy. During this time, the Christian Church influenced Europe's culture and political affairs. Medieval music is classified into two: the sacred or religious music and secular or non-religious music. One dominant sacred music style was the Gregorian chant. This monophonic plain chant was developed during 9th and 10th centuries. It was named after Pope Gregory I, and it is based on the Latin liturgy used in the worship services. Gregorian chant is sung by priests and monks in unison. It is sung without accompaniment or sung in a cappella. Gregorian chant is a form of monophonic religious music in Western Christianity that accompany the celebration of Mass and other ritual services. In the medieval period, the church had the monopoly on the creation of music. Pieces would pass down through the word of mouth, or what we call the viva voce method. The Gregorian chant is the stepping stone where Western music notation really begins. The earliest notation used symbol called U's to indicate tone movements and relative duration within each syllable, but not specific pitches of individual notes. By the 13th century, the names of Gregorian chant were usually written in square notation on a four-line staff with a clef. This is an example of a square neume on a four-line staff. Gregorian chant is written in Latin and was normally sung in unison without instruments, so its texture is monophonic. There isn't a beat or regular metric accent. During the latter part of the medieval period, secular music which was not bound by Catholic traditions emerged. Most of these songs were performed across Europe by groups of musicians. Those wandering poet musicians are called troubadours. Troubadour is the generic term for poets and minstrels who flourish in the southern France and in northern Italy from the 11th through the 13th centuries. This artist converted storytelling into an art and often entertained huge crowds at fairs, weddings, and other medieval celebrations. Troubadour music often evokes images of knights battling on the muddy fields. It tells of chivalric honors and bravery of the knights or cavaliers and one-sided love or unattainable object of affection. Troubadour music uses French language and sometimes performed with instrumental accompaniment. Adam de la Halle was one of the oldest secular composers whose literary and musical works include chansons and poetic debates. You will be hearing an example of Adam de la Halle's composition entitled L'Œil de Robin et de Marion. L'Œil de Robin et de Marion is the earliest French secular play with music written in around late 12th century. It tells of a romantic story between a knight and a shepherdess or maiden. To summarize our lesson today, let us have a short recap. Medieval music is classified into two. We have the sacred or religious music and secular or non-religious music. For the sacred music, we have the Gregorian chant, while in secular music, we have the troubadour music. Gregorian chant is a monophonic plain chant. It is sung in a cappella. It has Latin text. It was named after Pope Gregory I, and it is sung by priests and monks. Troubadour music is sometimes accompanied by instruments. The theme is about love and chivalric values. It has a French language. It is performed to entertain during medieval celebrations, and it is sung by troubadour musicians. This time, I want you to get your activity packet and answer all the exercises and activities. After that, you are going to answer the post test to measure if you really understand the lesson. Remember that you can always go back on this video if ever you have some clarifications about the topic. In this lesson, I want you to remember that music is timeless. Melodies from the past can be still heard today. Tunes may be played differently in the techno world, but one thing never changes. Music will always be part of man's everyday life. For your reflection, I want you to answer this question. If you were one of the original composers, would you allow your compositions to be used as they are used today? Why or why not? Explain your answer. And that's the end of our lesson today. I hope you learned a lot. Till next time, bye!